Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing one of the most practical reverso models you could buy. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Grande Reverso Sun Moon. Not only does it give you a grande date, it gives you day-night clarification for a dual time capability. So it is the XGT case that originally debuted on the 70e, and you will note it's not all that big by later reverso standards. It's 29 millimeters wide. It's 46.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, 12.1 millimeters thick, and then it has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll pop open this JLC, second generation folding clasp, and we'll throw it on my wrist. And you can see that being under 47 millimeters lug to lug, it's nowhere near the edge of my wrist. So I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. It's thin enough and barrel shaped on the profile, so it will fit underneath the dress cuff or reverso. Though originally conceived as a sports watch in the 1930s, it really is a dress watch today, and especially in rose gold, it's nice to know you can wear this one with a shirt sleeve. The strap is large rectangular scale alligator leather. It's a dark reddish brown with a gloss finish. You can see it has a very sheer folded edge. It looks like it might be sheer cut, but it's just a broad flat folded edge. Monotone stitch in brown, calfskin on the bottom. You can see this is one of the latest JLC factory straps because it has the pull tab spring bar to remove the strap without a tool. I called this the second generation JLC deployant clasp. And the reason I call it that is because the first generation was basically two flat stamped pieces, whereas the second generation features a recess within the chassis. So you see how we have this media blasted recess on both sides? That's indicative of the second generation deployant clasp, and I believe that would have been equipped on every JLC watch made from 2006 forward. So it's just nice to chart the changes. And then the case itself is very familiar. Since 1931, when the first Reverso was conceived as a sports watch, it's always been more complex a shape than photos convey. So if you just see this watch online, you might think it's just a rectangle, but in fact, it's got these lovely conical squared off lugs, profoundly vaulted barrel profiles, gadroons or strakes that wrap all the way around on both sides, and you can see there's a dramatic slope or taper to the case on each end. So really complex stuff. And then inside, there's engine turning within the chassis. There's also satination on the back of the case, and the reverse of the case is left bare. Now, the original idea back in the 1930s was for people who had active lifestyles, sportsmen, drivers, horseback riders, or sportsmen who rode horseback, you could turn the watch over, and back then they had real glass crystals on watches, so the blank side would protect your watch from blows, and when you were done with your vigorous activity, you could flip it back to the time that told everything you need to know. Back then, it was just hands. Today, it's hands, day-night, a second time zone, and a double date. This watch retains the original buff case back. Over the years, the Reversos became platforms for customizations, engravings, lacquering, enameling, family coats of arms, unit logos for folks in the military, all sorts of cool stuff. And this one remains tabula rasa for your customization. We've got a JL logo on the crown. Here we have a watch that is automatic winding, still a fairly rare thing in the world of reversos. The movement inside here is based on the 975 Auto Tractor architecture, which was designed as JLC's 21st century sports watch architecture, based on the lessons learned using its dress watch movements in IWC sports watches during the 90s. Those didn't always last. They were thin, fine, and accurate, but they didn't know how to take a knock. This architecture in caliber 970 is much tougher. It's thicker by design. It has a full dual-anchored balance bridge and a free-sprung balance for toughness. It's also designed natively as a dual-time watch. You see how I'm able to set the second time zone? This second time zone is set only when I withdraw the crown entirely. The hand that's moving is my local time, and you'll note I can drive the date forward or backwards as I travel east or west across the international date line. And the watch continues ticking. The other hands are not displaced, and the seconds are not stopped when I'm making this local adjustment. Now, when I pull the crown out all the way, note the seconds hand stops. Now we're in hacking seconds mode. And this is how you set that secondary time zone. You'll also note that there's a day-night disc that's coaxial with the seconds hand that represents the day or night status of that second or reference time zone. So the reference time zone, a little black hand, is attached to the day-night indicator. The local hand drives the date. Important to note, JLC's original double date complication was a patent that was given to its stablemate Lange by Gunter Blumlein, who oversaw both brands. JLC then patented a second double-digit date that went on its future watches. Now, what you'll note here is that because we do have this AM/PM indicator, both the local time and the reference time move in 12-hour circuits. So when you don't want to see that second time zone, you can superimpose these hands and they'll move at the same speed. It's not like that second time zone's a 24-hour hand, so you can really clean up the dial when you don't need it. Now, this watch features a lot of modern architectural features internally, including the full balance bridge, the free-sprung balance, unidirectional winding with ceramic bearings. People ask why unidirectional? Because it has been tested in practice to be more efficient than bidirectional. And with ceramic bearings, you get more efficiency and reduced maintenance needs. This is a 4 Hertz movement. It beats away at 8 beats per second. This is a movement that features 29 pivot jewels. It has a very modern architecture. It uses spire profile gearing, something that was developed by a consortium of watchmakers, including JLC, to reduce gear train friction. So this is one of the most modern movements you will find in any Reverso, and it has an automatic winding 50-hour power reserve. Remember, these automatic reversos are still fairly rare. And then it has the Master 1000 hours control on it. And that is a control lasting over 40 days that includes chronometry, winding efficiency, power reserve, water resistance, and durability. It is a test of the fully cased up watch, and since 2004, it's applied to all Reversos, so this watch definitely makes the cut. Lots to love here, right down to those handsome 1930s style vertically arrayed Arabic numerals, the dental style pattern that runs like molding around the edge of the dial, the concentric half within the sub-seconds, the vague or wave-style guilloche at center. Lots to love from this watch, just full of nuance, mechanically, aesthetically, and historically. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Oh, one more detail. People often ask me about water resistance on Reversos. This case includes about 50 individual parts, and yes, it is 30 meters water resistant, which you can see on the reverse side. But here's the important thing to remember. Some folks aren't impressed by that. There are 50 parts on this case, and prior to the 1980s, there was never such a thing as a water-resistant Reverso. 30 meters, in this instance, represents progress.